All right, welcome back. So we got another episode of BILLINICO commentary, and yeah. So today we're gonna be talking about LeBron James, and he approached Stephen A. Smith recently, and if people didn't see the video, you know, kind of approached Stephen A. in a kind of a not a passive aggressive, but in a kind of aggressive way. He kind of, in my opinion, it was a little humiliating to approach a grown man in the way that you did, looking down on him, like you try to press him. Now, for anyone that's been covering basketball or paying attention to basketball this season, even, you know, happenstance, not even paying attention to it 100% of the time, you'll know, even through hearing, that Bronny James, is in the NBA now, and him being the son of one of the most popular basketball players ever, probably the most popular basketball player currently, at least in the media cycle, that's LeBron James. So if you're going to be the son of this person, you're going to be entering the profession that this person plays in. There's going to be a lot of media coverage. And to be honest, there hasn't been that much media coverage since, maybe the first day that he played. There really hasn't been that much media coverage on Bronny James because there's not much to cover. He hasn't done much. He came in, he gets a shot here and there, makes a layup, went to the G League, and he had a 30-point game. They showed the highlights, and that was it. People are criticizing him in the media because it is a story, because he's the son of LeBron James. You have to wear what comes with the crown. You want to be a king, and instead of teaching your children what comes with the crown, what comes with the throne, you're speaking down to the people that are supposed to be lower than you, at least in this field. If you're the king sitting on the throne, why are you coming down from your throne to talk to a Stephen A. Smith in that manner? You should, as a king, you should put together a proper production with Stephen A. and then address things in that way. And even then, you shouldn't say it from a complaining standpoint. Maybe be honest and thoughtful with your responses about how it's going with Bronny and about what it would take for him to excel in the league, or if he has a chance to really make it in the league. Because if you're trying to remove real criticism from life, then LeBron, you're hurting your child. You're not helping him. Part of what makes you renowned for being one of the greatest players ever. I don't think you're the greatest. I think you're definitely one of the greatest players ever. Top 10 for sure. That's not a it's not a slight to be one of the top 10 players that have ever played this game. You know how many players have played? If you feel a way about that, then you're disrespecting all the players that came before you, that built the league, that contributed to this league, that brought excitement when you were a child, when you were a fan, right? So don't get in position to carry the torch and then start saying you're better than everyone that came before you, when there could be honest arguments that are made why you're not definitively better than such as Jordan, Kareem, Magic, even Bird. All you can say is that you have the longevity. That's honorable. That doesn't mean you're the best player ever because you played the longest. Not how things work. But part of what makes you one of the best ever is your ability to have overcome the the media scrutiny. That was probably in the beginning of LeBron's career was probably when they were the most tough on him. Literally the first season. Because they were like, who was this guy calling himself King James? They were hyping it up, but there still was criticism. That's when the birth of the Skip Baylesses were born. You know, and smartly they attached themselves to the LeBron James narrative, and that's how they grew their career. Very intelligent move on the media business personality's part to attach to somebody who generates such attention. And LeBron delivered. Cannot take that away from LeBron. LeBron definitely delivered as a player. But no one held his hand when it came to scrutiny. You didn't even have your father, LeBron. So now you think this is the problem with black men. Black men are so listen, yes, black men, you need to be fathers, yes. But black men, once you start now that black men are, there's more black men that are fathers in the household. Now they're overcompensating. See, when you overcompensate, then you start doing things that aren't necessarily the best for your child. So you're there in your child's life, but you're not contributing the way a father should. A father is supposed to be strong with his children, disciplined, teach his child about life, what the value, build their child's character, especially a man, especially a young boy. What you're doing is showing LeBron, you're showing Bronny James that scrutiny should be silenced. That he should get all the benefits of being LeBron's son, but none of the scrutiny that comes with it. So you guys are ultra wealthy, ultra successful in the league, but you can't take the things that come with it. Come on, there's a trade off somewhere. I never heard Stephen A. Smith disrespect Bronny James, call him out of his name, or do anything that garner for LeBron James to step to him like that. And honestly, Bronny James is an adult. He's an adult. Sometimes I hear Joe Budden, even Ish, they talk about these men, young men, like they're boys. They say that boy, this boy, and they got that from their mothers. They got that from being around a bunch of women because they didn't have their fathers in their lives when they were children. They never saw a masculine man in the house, and they genuinely don't understand. They generally don't understand what that means. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but you have to realize that you can't do things like a woman. Certain communities, they treat their boys as men once they're 13, 14. The average is around like 16. You treating your boy like he's a young man. I was treated by my grandfather like a young man by the time I was 11, 12. Once I had just a certain level of awareness and cognizant, you know, abilities. And a father can tell. And a father's going to start treating you in a certain way. He's going to give you responsibilities. He's going to make you disciplined. He's going to teach you that you need to act a certain way. They damn sure don't want you to be sensitive to someone else's words and react to it. They want you to hear it out and honestly ask yourself, are those criticisms true? There used to be a time when if your child was criticized by another adult, the adults are on the same team because that's orderly society. And the adults are looking at the child like, well, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Are you performing? All this stuff started with that single mother mentality. You ever see that perfect example? You go to like a college game or a high school game or even a kid's game, an elementary game, a basketball league, right? You ever see a single mother and how she reacts to different things that are happening on the court compared to the other parents? And I'm not talking about just being passionate, just they don't like, they just overreact to certain things. They think they're oh, don't hurt my baby or be fair with my baby and all this extra stuff. That's how black men that didn't have their fathers act with their children. So now that they're present in their kids' life, they're not being fathers, they're being like a hybrid mother or a hybrid father. And I'm not trying to disrespect. This is just, my observation based on what I know, what I gathered from my experiences, based on what I see in other cultures, data. It is what it is. Good chat GPT these things I'm saying and validate it. Make sure you do it unbiasedly or use Grok. Use Google Gemini. I just find it funny that, also that LeBron James claims to be for black people. He's a black leader. He's not going to just shut up and dribble. He hasn't done any work with Stephen A. Smith, who was the probably the most popular black male media figure. Isn't that ironic that the most popular black male media figure has never done a sit down interview with the most popular black NBA player or most popular black athlete in America, arguably? Wow. So much for black power, huh? So much for black unity, so much for pushing black people forward. How many times has LeBron James sat down with Rachel Nichols? And this was pointed out to me by COJ on YouTube. I don't want to take credit for something like that, but that makes you think. So when you see him step up to Stephen A. Smith with this hostility, never to sit down and do an interview, never to even work it out and build a type of business relationship, knowing that he's another black man. Yeah, you may not even like him to a certain extent, but you're not going to do business with him. And your whole thing is, oh, I'm building black. We got to do better as black people. I find that it is extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. People said Michael Jordan is this guy that doesn't mess with the culture. Who was the biggest black male media figure, excuse me, that Michael Jordan was working with in the 90s when he was at the height of his career? He had a lot of interviews with a certain person as a name of Ahmad Rashad, didn't he? Yeah. How many interviews did Ahmad Rashad have with Michael Jordan? Quite a few. Now they did have a friendship, but that seems like black power to me. One black man using his leverage to enrich another black man in the media field. Ahmad Rashad had a very successful career in that time frame. Hmm. It just these things just make you think, and we have to challenge these conversations. And again, the reason I use the Joe Budden podcast so much is not because I'm not one of these YouTubers that are obsessed with the Joe Budden podcast in the term in the sense of being a fan. I'm more using this as a case study. They really are a unique group of individuals who mainly lean liberal. Adding the woman dynamic gives even more um just more you know another avenue for discussion perspective is her being a woman, just a different gender. So they talk about a lot of things for a living, and hearing how they talk about it, their thought process, knowing that there's a lot of people that think like them, it gives you or gives me perfect case study to give commentary on so we can learn and grow, because these things are going to be relevant for a while. These conversations, even the LeBron James thing, these are going to be things that we're going to think about, and the people that apply serious thought and listen to these commentaries, it's gonna change their way of thinking, and it's gonna improve their life. It's gonna bring value to them. So let's play what they say, and then we'll do some more commentary, and then I might do a part one right here, and then we'll do a part two. But we'll see how it goes.
But on the other hand, I understand what Stephen A is saying is that if you know your son is not doing good on the team and you're the leader of this team, you shouldn't be that sensitive if you're allowing.
One of the first words he's using is sensitive. And Queen's Flip had his father. If you notice, Queen's Flip, and I've had criticism about Queen's Flip because I don't think necessarily Queen's Flip is necessarily like a book smart or educated in various subjects. I don't think Queen's Flip is not intelligent. I think Queen's Flip is very intelligent. He's a fast learner, and whatever he applies himself to, looks like he can just succeed just off the strength. not necessarily like he went to some kind of structured programming. And he may have. I'm just going off of what I see from these, these characters that they review podcasts and these shows and these media feeds. That's all we're doing is commenting. But based on what I see, Queen Flip built his social media built, built business off doing it, off experience, and that takes intelligence. But I think when he doesn't know something, excuse me, his lack of intelligence shows in other areas. Oh, and I just have a criticism for. You can see that he's torn because you could tell he had masculine presence in his, but you can see that he was also influenced by his environment. He definitely is influenced by other, masculine presences in the neighborhoods that may not have been righteous or good masculine presences. You know what I'm saying? If I'm making sense. So he's the type of person that understands right from wrong, but the influence of the environment and him just being bullheaded to an extent because of who knows what trauma he may have, that experiences or anything that made him go that route. But when it comes to conversations, Queensflip very well understands certain things, and he's even willing to push back against Melissa Ford and Joe Budden on certain liberal ideologies. But being in New York, which is a liberal place, being around so many liberal people and coming from certain environments, it's hard to really, really, uh, create a consistent way of living that is conservative. Oh, Queensflip is also married. Been married for a long time, so he knows how to maintain a traditional relationship. You looking slim, bro. You looking slim. So salute to you, man. Salute to you.
I don't want to say if you're allowing him to play. Of course, he said that you.
And I'm gonna do a video about you and Danny with the stop. You gotta stop letting Danny get under your skin. Treat it like business. Don't let the dude talk. You winning, you wet your head in terms of certain things. You don't need to make threats. You don't need to make subtle threats. Not fair in that type of aspect. He's not a street dude. And I'm not a street dude either. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, stay what you're doing because you're clearly successful at. I know.
We know you didn't tell the coach to put him in or whatever Steven said. But I do understand what Steven is saying. Like, if your son is out there and for some reason your influence got him on the team and he's able to play, he's up for scrutiny. He's up for ridicule.
He's out. This is a televised sport. I don't like. You're one of the biggest names in the history of the game. That alone is going to generate view revenue. Let's fast forward.
You need to hear that.
Okay, LeBron came over to him after the game, looked like he had a heated conversation with him. He said, I don't know that I agree with that, by the way.
He wanted to address it.
That he can't repeat the words because the player heard me say and he confronted me about it.
Me too.
Child is participating. I'm just doing my job.
Ice, like I said, Ice is a man. All the Joe, but Ice is unbiased. So Ice is going to give arguments against Joe Budden a lot of times. He'll side with Ish. He'll look at the different perspective from multiple cast members. And I think Ice also has a strong male influence. I think he around his grandfather, and I believe he mentioned his father. I think he mentioned there was a period of his life when he wasn't around his father. But when you build these relationships with the males in your life, your father, your grandfather, even if it's later on, it just does something for men. It gives you a certain level of foundation and confidence, and it allows you to see the world from a masculine perspective as opposed to an emotional feminine perspective. Look at things in a logical way.
I'm going to talk about it.
But he also has that heavy influence from being raised by a single mother. I'm not trying to disparage him, but that does influence you in certain ways. It does. It's just a fact.
If he's doing good, we're going to talk about him. This is what happens. You used your name, you used your star power to get him here, and to a lot of people, he's not he's not delivering.
Meeting the standards, yeah.
Yeah, he's not meeting the standards. So, yeah,
Michael Jordan's sons used to get roasted when they would try to play. They didn't make it to the NBA, but they wasn't spoken of highly when it came to basketball. I never heard Jordan say anything about it. It just wasn't good.
he's going to,
Sell some shoes, Marcus.
a lot of scrutiny is going to come with that. LeBron caught scrutiny first year in the league just
Just said that first year.
because of the name King James and all of the hype around him. When there's hype, that move. Hey, we
Side of this, I'm on LeBron's side.
No, really. Now Joe Budden also, he's in and out with this liberal, and he understands logic. He does that all the time. Now, one, he's gonna side with LeBron because it's LeBron. It's that celebrity alliance thing that they got going on. It's a celebrity alliance, man. It's a black elite. It's a circle. It's something. And also, Joe Budden has become the LeBron James of podcasting. And what I mean by that, they're very similar when it comes to how they try to project themselves to black society. Oh, I'm super rich, and I'm up, I'm wealthy, but I understand the struggle. I understand this still racism, man. Even though my manager is white, probably my accountant's white, people that give me money is white from these labels such as complexes or these companies such as complexes, pride pick. There's white people that are paying me lucrative amounts of money, but racism exists, people. I understand what y'all going through in the working class, in the lower class as well. I understand. You don't. All you're doing is putting bullish ideologies in people that aren't smart enough to know that they're getting played. Maybe you don't know what you're doing and you're just afraid to be genuine. The working class isn't in a lower class or in a lower situation because of racism. They're in a lower situation because of failed politics, mainly from the Democratic side. That's a fact, man. That's just a fact. All these policies in place, the taxes, inflation, the wars, all of these funds. Go to Doge.com, Doge.gov, and look where the money has been going. That's why the lower classes are struggling. But if you were informed, Joe, you will use this massive platform to spread the truth and not lies. That's why you got to take what comes with that, brother. You got to take the good and bad with what you've done. The vaccine stuff, there's a lot of things. It just is what it is. And I'm not saying, what I'm saying is 100% sure, but based on what I know and the facts that I also know, I'm very close to the mark. I'm aiming 9 for 10 right now. There's still time to use your platform to spread the right message, especially when it comes to Donald Trump, especially when it comes to bringing Americans together, man. Like, seriously, we were born here. Joe, they want us to forget that we were born here. Black people were born here. We're Americans. White Americans look at us and they know who we are. Black Americans we are Americans. We rock with each other. Now, are there differences? Do we have origin stories that are different? Yeah. Okay. Slavery, racism. Our people sold each other in slavery, bro. We had wars with each other. We had wars with them. There was wars with Native Americans. There was wars. There's wars in Ukraine and Russia. Russians are trying to kill Ukrainians. There's constant wars, bruh. Let's focus on reality right now. What team are you on? Donald Trump has no problem with Americans. Donald Trump ain't trying to hold back Americans. He's trying to unleash Americans finally, that we can come back and we can thrive and remain the number one superpower. Because we feel more. Do you want the power to go to China? You want to go to Russia? You want it to go to the Saudis, or do you want us to be in charge? So I feel more comfortable with us being in charge. I feel more comfortable with us being empowered. That doesn't mean we have to be dictators, but I want to hold on to the crown. You ever heard of a good king? That doesn't mean there's a perfect king, just a good king. Get informed and use your platform to bring Black Americans and Americans together. You do that in another way, the liberalism, but you need to do it in the political realm as well. Because it's getting a little crazy with the liberals, man. They're looking crazy. They're going outside. And it's because they're in a world of delusion. You support so many things, but do you really want men playing in women's sports? Do you really want that? A man hit a volleyball in a woman's face and messed her thing up and injuries and like, come on. You got a little girl, Ice. You got a little girl. I know you don't want a man walking in a dress just because a law was passed saying he could walk in there and wear a dress. Come on. Like, what are we doing? We're that afraid to say what's right and what's righteous, to speak the truth. Live with no fear, bro. Let me play what Joe says.
I'm on
Weird.
LeBron's side with this.
Why? Do you think that Stephen A takes the opportunity to be extra critical because it's LeBron's son?
I think all of the people that
Is there really an extra critical when it comes to these celebrities? Because they are already compensated for being public figures. You're already compensated for being a public figure. As long as no one's putting their hands on you, lying about anything about you, people can criticize all day long if you're a public figure. That's freedom of speech. And it's a business on top of that. They're not only do they have the freedom of speech legally, they're monetizing it the same way you're monetizing talking about them and others.
let me not say all. I think a lot of the people that are critical of Bronny James, it's A, because of their relationship with his dad, or B, because it's a ratings chase. Bronny James, like everybody, if we had to.
So you're gonna threaten everyone that is using your name for ratings? Okay. So that's interesting. Okay. So this show alone, this media show, if you had a list of people that they spoke about, it would be endless. It would be pages. They would have a Bible of celebrity names, or even not even B-level, C-level people that they talk about. Children, parents, brothers, sisters, since we want to put all these, this is what liberals do. They make these terms, and that's someone's child. Everyone's someone's child, bruh. Donald Trump is someone's child. You know how much Melissa Ford says about Donald Trump and Elon Musk? They're somebody's children and brother and father. You don't give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't give them grace. That's why you got to change your mentality, bro. And you're coming across hypocritical. People aren't going to respect you as much as they should, or as they could. You have a huge platform. You could be a living legend in another way that even you may not understand. You gotta stand up. You gotta do what's right. And I think you want to do it a little bit. You had Candace Owens on there. You need to get Tariq Nasheed on there. I don't know why you avoiding doing anything with him in the public. You need to do something with Tariq Nasheed. You need to link up with Big Loon. Y'all need to squash that, and y'all need to have a media thing. Because y'all have Dr. Umar adjacent. You need to reach out to Anton Daniels as well, Angry Man. Y'all need to start doing bigger media conferences, media, I don't know, something. Conglomerates, whatever. Get together, get creative, do different things. Or not. Or not, to be honest. Who cares, right? But, if you want to do big business, you want to make more money, have better conversations, deeper conversations, more entertainment, you got to do that. Step it up. Live with no fear. BILLINICO said it first.
the card table. Let's see everybody's hand for real. I don't want to hear that he's a player. I criticize players, so it's fair game.
It is. It is.
That's not true. There's not been another 56 pick in the draft that's been covered.
There's not been a 56 in the draft that is the son of the self-proclaimed GOAT, self-proclaimed greatest of all time. There's never been a 56 or 57 pick that's the son of the self-proclaimed greatest player of all time. Joe.
This way.
I see.
That's been critiqued this way. He ain't played enough.
He Flip be starting off strong, but he changed. So I mean, Flip be influenced by people. He should stand his argument because he has a good argument.
To be critiqued, he's critiqued when he's not in the games.
I understand what you're saying.
And you're doing that, but who should be up to
Let's
get
fast
him draft
Let's fast forward.
fair. It's not fair.
I think it's fair to criticize Bronny if you're doing the same scrutiny to other players in the G League or whatever development.
They're not making. They can criticize Bronny more than other players because they're not relevant. Bronny is relevant because of who his father is. It just is what it is. Now, if LeBron James wants to make a statement and say, hey, my son needs to improve, this and that, he can do that. Or he can just ignore it. And I would probably just ignore it and just let it. It is what it is. They're not even talking about Bronny James that much. No one talks about Bronny James from what I see.
Mental situation he's playing under, which they're not.
But he's doing both, right? Ain't Bronny
They're not.
G League and Laker?
I see what you're saying. That's how I
And
watch sports.
when Mark and Ish was on that shit months ago,
Yeah.
I stand on the side of you shouldn't critique someone's child in a certain.
You see, everybody is somebody. Oh man, how do black men look at black men in their 20s like they're little boys? That is weird to me. That is weird to me. These are men. Yo, hip hop culture. And this is why you look at the black men and how they act compared to other men of other races, certain age. They're so goofy. Just we got to come back and do another video. Peace.